Akansha, how many are the additional options? And has the company really indicated when they would really be exercising them?
Hi, Sakshi. So, around 370 planes are additional in option, which means that the company can buy these 370 planes at the same ticket price as which they were promised the 470 planes. Now, they haven't given a timeline as to when they will add these 370 planes so far, but it's actually interesting to note that sources have told us that already the ticket price of the 470 planes which they got was way lower than the market price. And now this additional 370 planes means that they're going to get them at a discount, which means it's actually going to add to their fleet and it's actually going to cost them very less. It's interesting to know that currently their fleet is around 140 planes. And when you see if the total addition of 470 plus 370, it's going to be around 840,
Yeah,
which means that
yeah.
their fleet has grown almost 10 times now. That's something interesting to see, especially now that Tata has taken over the airline.
Right. But Akansha, what about the other airlines like Indigo now? Are they also going to be ordering more planes? We also heard some reports talking about Akasa Air wanting to expand internationally too. So, what have you heard on Indigo so far?
Yes, that's correct. There are rumors going around that Indigo is also planning on adding an additional 500, aircraft to its fleet. The thing is, with Tata taking over Air India, they put out this plan called Vihan.ai, Vihan Air India, last year, which said that they wanted a big lion's share of the market. They said that in the next 5 years, they would be taking over the 30% market share in the aviation sector. And it's also interesting to know that they have deep pockets and they can do that. So Indigo, which is currently sort of a market leader in the Indian aviation sector, they are also trying to brace themselves for Tata's attack, and like they have deep pockets and they can do that. So Indigo is also trying to match up to that level, and rumors are going on that they are also trying to add 500 more planes to their fleet. And like you saw yesterday, they had that block deal yesterday, which has brought in some ramifications in the stock market as well. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting phase. It seems like the Indian aviation sector is gearing up now, and there are going to be newer players, and people are actually going to have better options as well, even for consumers.
Hopefully so. Thanks a lot, Akansha, for that update with all our viewers. Let me just take it across to you, Kranti, now to understand what have you made of the news flow so far. Of course, we are seeing, statements flowing in that everybody was talking about this 470 order as a big deal, in terms of that Air India's own plan and the Maharaja's own plan to regain the lost throne that they have. And of course, looking at an increasing play that even Indian airlines would actually be looking at globally to play going forward from here as well. But how have you really understood this? And what Akansha's information is, if it goes up to 840, that could be an even bigger deal. What would it mean for the entire aviation sector in India?
Yes, actually, you truly uh, uh, made a statement. The Maharaja is shining. Of course, Maharaja, last couple of days, Air India, Maharaja is becoming an emperor in the global skies. That's what that's what we can clearly see the statements coming from President Joe Biden and all on this order. It is a landmark in the uh, India's aviation history. Now, coming to the point, Sakshi, of course, as Akansha mentioned that different other airlines also placing their order, they want to increase the fleet. We are going to witness the heightened activity. It shows the growth of the India's aviation story, and also there are multiple companies that are going to take advantage of this the entire move. First and foremost is the engines for all these aviation fleet. It's going to coming from General Electric, uh, Pratt and Whitney, and Safran. So there are already different companies in India like PTC Industries. They already just a couple of days back entered into a agreement to supply some kind of raw material and different inputs for their engines to Safran. And also we have seen some kind of companies in the Bangalore Aviation Show entering into different kind of agreements to supply different kind of civil civil aviation parts to the global
Right.
global companies. So we can see companies like Garden Reach. Yesterday, they come up with an agreement entering into different aviation companies to supply some kind of raw material and different spares to the companies. So there is a whole lot of theme is emerging right now. HL is the stock. Yesterday also
Sure.
we discussed on your show. The stock went up by 10% in during yesterday's trade. So these
Yeah.
are the stocks that are going to prima facie taking the advantage. We need to see whole lot of things that are going to emerge over a period of time.
Right, but what would you really recommend to all those investors of, say, Indigo? Once we used to just talk about that, Indigo as the most profitable company in the Indian aviation space, and how the stock had been, the company had been performing fundamentally very well before COVID. And of course, this whole challenge of last 2.5, 3 years really emerged. And then the competition increasing with newer players entering like AirAsia, CASA now, Jet Airways looking at a 2.0. We still do not know whether it will happen or not. But what about these stocks? SpiceJet is slightly up today, just about 36 odd rupees. But Indigo is under pressure from last 2 or 3 days from the time the Air India news really came about. How should one really be approaching these specific aviation and airline stocks?
So actually, given the kind of the aviation turbine fuel ATF prices at a comfortable range from past 3-4 months, that gives a greater advantage to these aviation companies. And also, if we see the airports getting filled with people right now,
Yeah.
and the fares that are rising, so it gives a good margin for the companies like Indigo. So investors with a high risk appetite, because these companies runs with too many dynamics of the industry. Very very often only all these dynamics will be in favor of the operators. So investors with a high risk appetite only, they can stay invested in these kind of companies. So my favorite companies are companies which are allied to the aviation
Okay.
industry rather than getting into a
Okay.
operator driven companies. So Indigo can be, Interglobe Aviation can be one of the choice for the investors with a high risk appetite in the aviation space is concerned.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.